E3 just passed, and all the main companies have laid down the cards they're willing to show so far. A couple cards I want to talk about belong to Sony. Firstly, and mainly, the Resident Evil 7 trailer. The announcement itself was definitely not a surprise to most people, only what the announcement entailed. When we saw these strange clips in a first-person perspective, I think most of us didn't expect it to be a main entry of the Resident Evil series. Along with that, Capcom failed to let viewers know that a playable teaser is available exclusively to PlayStation Plus users in their PlayStation Network store. While I have played through the teaser a decent number of times, the video won't really talk about the items or alternate scenes, nor does it have any sort of secret that hasn't already been discovered and talked about lately. If you want to know what everyone has discovered so far, it's still being talked about in various forums. I've previously expressed how much I enjoyed PT in my video. If you haven't seen it, I talk about the striking similarities I had with the apartment scenarios in Silent Hill 4, but then later go on about how I really enjoyed the atmosphere, ambience, and how it managed to genuinely creep me out. Something not many games outside of Silent Hill 1 through 4 have achieved. Even the original 3 Resident Evil games didn't really manage to do that for me, but I still enjoyed them as fun and challenging survival horror titles. I will say I'm not as close to the franchise as I am to the original Silent Hill series. I also mentioned how PT seemed to be misunderstood by a lot of players, including those that were ecstatic about the teaser and what's to come. With that said, once the trailer was shown, once people got their hands on the teaser known as Resident Evil 7 Beginning Hour, everyone started making comparisons to PT. And well, I kind of agree, but only in particular aspects. Is it like PT in regards to being cryptic, designed to spend a lot of players' time and encourage people to seek help from others through means of social networking as well as streaming? Yes. Anything else, such as ambience and atmosphere? Not really. After all, I feel like PT was basically a small teaser designed by Japanese developers to attempt replicating European horror films, while Resident Evil 7 Beginning Hour feels more like it's designed by Japanese developers to attempt replicating American horror films. It's definitely not a coincidence considering the found footage scenario in the teaser. It's not nearly as subtle and a lot more predictable. Hell, even the guy who knocks you out is 100% scripted and only occur in 2 particular sequences. Still, I have to say it was at least fun trying to figure things out with people throughout forums. It's pretty much the closest thing to replicating the PT experience, in which the teaser was live for less than a day before the first person in a stream discovered the ending, which was the Silent Hills trailer. I can't explain it very well, but it was just something very fun to attempt figuring out when it was completely unknown to anyone what was at the end of the path, trying to make sense out of particular occurrences and desperately seeking others for help, especially when there's clues being presented to you in various languages. But back to Beginning Hour. It doesn't feel like they went for subtlety when it came to scaring the player. It doesn't have the same style in which it dug its fingernails into your brain and gave you these quaking feelings. Rather, it went for more cheap scares, even going as far as to give obvious homages to particular American films. Don't get me wrong, there isn't something inherently wrong with that. They clearly didn't want this to be a complete clone of PT, so I do appreciate them taking a different approach. I also like the heavy details in the shack as well as the natural lighting effects. Also, opening doors quickly is nerve-wracking because of the darkness within the room before your vision fades in. Adds much to the experience. I'm one of the few guys on the soapbox when I say Resident Evil 6 wasn't that bad. Still, I think it was appropriate to put that main focus to bed. Scale back from pure action being the focus instead of horror. While Capcom has stated that Beginning Hour is not part of the final game, it's safe to say this is their way of attracting players by showing the direction they're going for with this new title. Everyone is asking the obvious questions. Is it going to be entirely first person? Will it have guns? What about zombies? Is anybody from the previous titles returning? Capcom is keeping their mouths shut for now, but I'm certain they'll speak about it soon. After all, assuming there will be no delays in its production, the final game will hit shelves and markets in only 7 months. Was that intentional? While I'm not as attached to the original Resident Evil games, I understand a lot of fans' outcry about this trailer and demo, that it's nothing like any title before it. At least from what we've seen so far. After all, there were never any creepy serial killers in the games, and the idea of ghostly hauntings were only present for the prototype of Resident Evil 4 before it got scrapped and decided to make angry Spaniards the main enemy lineup. Still, hopefully the itch for the classic style will be scratched by the Resident Evil 2 remake. They have yet to unveil any gameplay footage, so I don't know if I should speak so soon. Regarding Resident Evil 7, I'm interested to see how the rest of the game will turn out. While I did express the cheap tropes it bared, it still had more interesting environment than just about every single Resident Evil game after 3. It might not turn out to be like the original Resident Evil games, but I think it will be a fresh change that could lead to something great. Just like with the new God of War game that was announced, it helps to have an open mind. After all, this is a game franchise that's just about 2 decades old. They need to find ways to keep it fresh because whatever they were doing before just wasn't working very well for them. I'm not saying it'll be objectively great. We still know little to nothing about the game. All I'm saying is that people should wait until we get more info before judging it so harshly. But with all this talk about PT thrown in here, it's definitely worth mentioning Kojima and his new game that was unveiled during the same conference, Death Stranding. My thoughts on the trailer? Short version.
I don't know what the that was.
Long version, goddamn confusing but interesting. There's obviously less to talk about since it's only a teaser trailer, but people have been coming up with some fun theories. Is this the mysterious Silent Hills project that was cancelled? Considering what the trailer is implying for its setting and somewhat plausible fan theories, I don't think so. It's possible that Kojima salvaged elements and concepts, and there's of course Norman Reedus portraying the main character, but there's no way of telling right now, just saying that Silent Hills was probably going to be more related to ghostly hauntings and the like. Death Stranding might be more related to sci-fi horror, possibly more sci-fi. It's something I doubt Kojima would have implemented in an installment for Silent Hill. Even so, I'll always say he's great at directing trailers. The setting seems very intriguing, mysterious, and best of all, depressing. I don't want to speak so soon for this game, but it's needless to say he's got my attention. Can't wait to play Death Stranding in the year 2021. Thanks for watching.
Did you like it?